Snow fell at midnight. I woke up and saw it through the trees. There was a light on in the window. It was nothing but you. Reading in bed in the moonlight as the snow fell at midnight. In the moonlight as the snow fell at midnight. I can hear it now. Mama's calling babies in from play. Daddy's putting chains on tires and bells ringing down the lane. You and me in a porch swing as the snow fell at midnight. There's something about this time of year, it brings the ones you love so near.
Good evening, everyone. Come on in. Just getting started. Welcome. Hope everybody's having a great week. It's almost Friday. Subscriber Catherine just joined. Thanks so much, Catherine. Welcome in, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me okay? Hey, Greta. Welcome.
You running around in the snow, laughing like a little.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Eric the Undertaker. We're Porch Talk, off the porch. Staying warm tonight still. It is warming up a little bit, though. Hope everyone's having a great week. Come on in. Go ahead and drop in the comments where you're checking in from. Tap on the screen as you come in. Let everybody know that we're live.
Christmas lights are glowing and there's eggnog near. Voices fill the night.
Hey, Carrie.
With a joyful cheer. Oh, the snow's still falling, but the fires aglow. Come on up.
Hey, Kayla. Welcome in.
Let the season show. Patchwork quilts
Nope. Is it
and the
mute?
bunny scent. Candied
It says
yams
it's
and
mute.
the hours well spent. The kids are
Colorado
chasing
checking in.
shadows, the dogs at
Everyone
play.
hear me okay?
The frost on the windows keeps the cold at
Ohio's
bay.
checking in. They must if they're checking in with her.
Pass the cider,
Indiana checking
pass the
in.
bread, tell the tales we've always said.
Oh, good. All right. Los Angeles checking in.
Christmas lights are glowing and there's eggnog near. Voices fill the night with a
Good, Karen.
joyful
Thanks.
cheer. Oh, the snow's still falling.
Jersey.
But the fires aglow.
North Dakota.
Come on up, come on in, let the season show.
Hey, Arizona and Arkansas and Tennessee. Welcome.
Silver bells in the distance ring and the stars above do their shimmering thing. We're bound together like holly and
Hey,
pine
Trey. Welcome in from
the
Nashville.
heart of winter. Our spirits align.
Dennis, we'll get to your questions just a second. We got to hear the music first. Idaho checking in. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. We've almost finished another week. If you're not a mortician, if you're a mortician, you may still just beginning your week or may just continue into the weekend, and that's okay. I'm Eric the Undertaker, licensed funeral director and embalmer, have been for over 27 years. And I am honored to come on and talk about death, dying, your grief process, my grief process, or just anything that you've ever wanted to ask a mortician. Greatly appreciate you joining us tonight. I am incredibly honored to be joined by my wife, the voice that we all know, lovely Allison.
Hello.
Hey, honey.
Hi.
How was your day?
Oh, it was busy.
It is busy. It's a busy week because this is the last week of school. So kids have all the extra stuff. High schoolers got finals. So we're just trying to get things wrapped up. We got a busy week at the funeral homes, getting ready for somebody to leave on vacation after tomorrow. Our main embalmer is going to be gone, which means that I'll be in the preparation lab more than I normally am, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. So Carrie says, hello, Allison. Thanks for checking in. Carol, another one of our moderators checking in. Thank you so much for joining us. Are we ready for some questions?
Well, we have Dennis's question.
Yeah,
Let me get that one up.
All right.
How long does it take to be cremated?
Dennis, great question. So I'm going to answer it two-part because leading up to the process sometimes it does take much longer because the paperwork sometimes is surprising to people. Once we get authorization signed, we have to get the death certificate. We have to get causes. We have to get it procured. We have to get it accepted by the health department, attestation, electronic signature from the doctor before we can actually file it. Then and only then can we move forward with cremation, transferring to the crematory. And then cremation itself, the actual cremation itself generally takes 2 to 4 hours. So right around 3 hours on average at 14 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's a cooling period. And then there's a processing after that to get the cremated remains, which are skeletal remains, down to a consistency somewhere between sand and crushed seashells to give back to the family. Thank you so much, Chester Boy, our friend Carrie, dropping in the lightning bolts because we have a storm coming.
We do not.
Yes, we do.
Oh, no.
We just got out of the fog, literally just got out of the fog. We have not
saw
seen
sun.
Yesterday, we saw the sun for the first time in 3 weeks. Since Thanksgiving, folks, we have not seen the sun. And we saw the sun yesterday. It warmed up a little bit because it's like been in the 40s, which is cold for us. And then we have rain coming in, which we need. So I'm grateful for that. But it's supposed to rain like off and on for the next 2 weeks. So here we go.
PNCVA, do you put the fun in funeral?
I try my best to put the fun in funeral. I really appreciate that. Isn't that interesting that it's hidden in that little, in that word? But we do. We try to put the fun in funeral when it's appropriate. We definitely try to put the joy in funeral because there really is a lot of opportunity to experience joy. We have a studio audience today, huh? Wow. This DJ is our studio audience. That's awesome.
Pulled up a chair.
Yes, that's great. So anyway, there's a lot of opportunity for joy in services and celebrations of life as well, because that's really what we're celebrating. But so I took your fun question and kind of turned it into a little bit more. So yeah.
I'll ask, signs of a broken heart in death.
Hi, Gavin. Thanks for joining. Hope your week's going well. Your first week at the funeral home. Signs of a broken heart in death. Well, the timeline generally is the biggest indicator, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen spouses die so close together. And I mean, sometimes within a year, sometimes within months, sometimes within weeks, sometimes within days. And I've even experienced within hours, without one even knowing. So, one night having to go out to a nursing home, 1 o'clock in the morning, picking up a lady that had passed away. And then about an hour and a half later, just after I got back to the funeral, got a call from the same nursing home that the gentleman, had that reversed. The gentleman passed away first. And then I went back and picked up the lady, and she hadn't even been told that her husband died. And it was like an hour and a half later. So pretty amazing experience. But yes, that's the biggest indicator of a broken heart during death.
How long does it take for a body to Mexico?
Normal time frame for us, and we specialize in this, is about 14 business days to get the documentation done so we can ship to Mexico. Interesting you asked that, because this is a difficult time of year. Beautiful time of year with Christmas and the holidays. Not an easy time to lose someone, but then we have the added challenge. A lot of people are traveling to Mexico, South America, other countries during this time frame. And unfortunately, when passenger capacity gets to a certain point, so, people that are going on the plane that are breathing, those that aren't breathing that have to be transferred, it's sometimes they put a complete embargo, meaning no human remains on those. So it can be delayed because of that. But the normal time frame is about 14 business days to get, and that's mostly documentation getting done. So
I have a request, sweetie.
yeah.
On my iPad, it's okay. But on my iPhone, your little porch talk, Eric the Undertaker, it's covering up my comments I want to read.
How about that? Is it better?
It's a little better. I mean, it's just down there where my comments are.
Oh, wow. Boy, she's getting poopy.
I mean.
All right. How's that?
Well, maybe it's just delayed because it's still in the corner. Oh, look, it's moving around.
There.
That might work.
All right.
Well,
there we go.
We'll find out. It might be right over my pinned comment.
I don't want to cover up the Christmas tree in the background, dear.
Okay. Do what you want. Oh, Cecilia has a question.
Okay.
When I was about 8, my parents bought the home of a mortician by the name Stump Mortuary, Pasadena, California.
Wow. That is fascinating. I have not heard of that. I mean, California is a big state. Oh, Cecilia, I'm still trying to get over your username because that's actually one of my favorite songs ever. But that's interesting. Stump Funeral Home. I'll have to look that one up. I wonder if it still exists under that name or if it's a different name. And Erica, another one of our great moderators, checking in and dropping gifts. That's incredibly appreciated. Thank you so much. We don't expect that. Tony Spark from our agency checking in tonight. So everybody, please be good because we are being audited and watched. So welcome, Tony. So good to have you here. Thanks so much for the gifts and the lightning bolts in your honor, of course. Actually, they're in honor of the storm coming, but why not?
Pocket Ninja says, my mom passed recently, and I was upset to find that in Jewish religion, you're not allowed to see the body.
Interesting. I am actually not familiar with that. I don't know now. That could be extreme Orthodox because I have to tell you in our area, if it's a true Orthodox Jewish person, we have Orthodox Jewish funeral homes that they generally go to. So the Jewish people we get are just not always the most Jewish. So that very well could be, but it hasn't been my experience in before. Generally, there's at least, and I have friends that work at the Jewish mortuary, that there still is a brief time of viewing. They don't want embalming. They want it to be very brief and quick. And, you know, there's a washing that's done in a traditional shroud that they're placed in. But I'm not familiar that there's absolutely no viewing, but it could possibly be just because it's kind of a little bit outside of our normal sphere.
Kitty Cat says, when you are an organ donor, is it harder to prepare a body for a funeral, and is open casket possible?
So it's a little bit more challenging with the embalming procedure. It is definitely still possible, even if skin and bone are what they refer to as harvested and donated. So, but if there's organs that are removed, and how amazing, what an incredible gift if that does happen and somebody else, you know, ends up extending their life and having a better life because of it. But we most certainly still can do the embalming procedures, just a little bit more challenging. Circulatory system has been disrupted, so we have to do things a little bit differently. If skin has been, transplanted, or bone, it's just a lot more suturing and care for the deceased to prepare them for any type of viewing or service.
Have there been any parties at a funeral?
Absolutely. I mean, maybe not specifically at the funeral, but generally if there's a celebration of life after or during, or we have some Irish wakes that they're nothing but parties. In fact, I have a casket that has a flat top on it, and I call it the Irish wake casket because it's easily set up with a bar because it's a flat top, right there. And you can put the Jameson or whatever you want there. And, if allowed and appropriate. And it can be anything you want, personalizing, customizing everything as long as it's appropriate. Now we want to make sure everybody's safe if they're coming to a visitation or service or something like that. So we're not going to just have free flow martinis, but yes, you certainly could, turn it into any type of celebration of life that you wanted.
Do you ever deal with private autopsies?
Yeah, on occasion. And so a private autopsy is generally in a situation where the family's questioning the cause of death. They want some answers just based on maybe it's a short, disease or illness that they've went through. The coroner deemed it necessary to do a postmortem examination, meaning they decided not to do an autopsy, which is the only way that you would be able to do it without having to pay for it yourself. And so they decide to bring in a private pathologist. And oftentimes that's done at the funeral home. And they'll come in, private pathologists will come in and do the autopsy. It's expensive. It's, generally between $5,000 and $8,000 to make that happen. So
Randall asks, do the bodies move in the casket during transportation to the church or chapel?
They can. Sometimes they can, kind of slip off the pillow and slide down a little bit, which was one thing that I always teach my staff, especially if we're going into a church and we're going to have visitation or viewing. We'll go up to the front of the church and we'll turn the casket opposite of everybody because oftentimes it may be filled. People are already there waiting, and we'll turn it opposite so it's facing away from everybody. We'll open the casket, and if there's anything that we need to adjust, to right anything that may have been wronged on the trip over. We will do that. And then we'll turn the casket around for the public viewing to begin. So,
I have a couple updates on the Jewish funerals that we were talking
Yeah.
about. Ziggy says, I work for a Jewish funeral home. There's no viewing.
yeah, that's amazing. That's great. This is the wonderful thing about this is being able to get, people to come in and offer that. Yeah. So there you go. So in an Orthodox Jewish funeral, there's no viewing. It's generally a closed casket. Now I got to tell you something. It's some of the most beautiful caskets that you can get. Because the Orthodox Jewish people also believe that there should be no metal in the casket, no embalming, no metal in the casket, which means those wooden caskets are wooden pegged, together and doweled together. So the craftsmanship on them are absolutely beautiful. So going to a service and not viewing and seeing a beautiful casket like that is an experience in itself.
Are organs useful in the elderly?
Organs, so for transplant purposes, it's going to vary. Not oftentimes. They've kind of served their purpose and served it well if they've gotten somebody to an age that they are considered elderly. But oftentimes there's other things that would prohibit them being able to be a viable option for organ donations.
How can I have my cremated remains transported to Maine, where I own a plot where my parents are buried?
Yeah, very simple. I don't know where you are now, but it's going to require, because I'm going to assume you're outside of Maine, so it's going to require a transit permit. And the funeral home will, do a cremation permit. Sometimes it's the same document. Like here in my state, the one document permit authorizes cremation, also authorizes the second form of disposition of the cremated remains. So if it was going out of state, we would issue a transit permit that allows somebody to get on an airplane or take them by car and take it out of the state. Now, once you get to Maine, there may be another permit that has to be filed using that. And a funeral home there could very well do it, or the state, county, local health department. So
Just want to share this next one here. I fell asleep to this podcast and had amazing dreams.
that's see the benefit of Eric the Undertaker and the Undertaker wife and Porch Talk. You can sleep better, folks.
Looks like this is Jennifer.
Yeah, that's thanks so much for sharing that. I say it in jest, but I also am incredibly grateful for that. So if there's any sense of calm that you're getting, any sense of peace you're getting from it, success in my heart. So hey, Steph, welcome in. Thanks so much. Caitlin, thanks so much. Life in a Fishbowl. Sending the finger hearts. Thank you so much. Appreciate. Good to see you all.
How long does it take for rig to set in, and what factors affect that time?
How long does it? Rigor mortis. Okay, rigor mortis can vary from each deceased. It can be within a matter of hours. Sometimes it can be up to a day, but it's just going to depend sometimes on the cause of death. It's going to be depending on the condition of the remains or the environment of the remains. And the important thing to remember about rigor mortis, so rigor mortis is a chemical reaction with the tissue and muscle that's going to stiffen it. And oftentimes people think that once that happens, it doesn't go away. It actually naturally goes away if it's just left alone. Now, if we get that person in our care and we need to do the embalming procedure or something else that's going to require that we manipulate the limbs or other parts of the body, then we can actually, what we refer to as breaking rigor, but it's not breaking bones or anything like that. It's literally just massaging that chemical reaction out. And so we can actually force it out of the tissue as well. If you don't do that, eventually it'll just go away on its own.
Do you listen to music or podcasts while embalming?
Kristen, I do. I listen to sometimes podcasts. I'll listen to music. Sometimes I'll listen to music of my choice. Oftentimes I've met with the family prior to going back in the preparation room and getting to know them and getting to know the deceased and a little bit of their story. And if they share anything to me about music, and sometimes music comes up if we're talking about planning their service and their specific music, I may even put one or two of that type of music or song on as well, just to honor the deceased that I am. and kind of ground myself and connect me, with the individual and the story of their life.
Life in a Fishbowl says, I'm a new celebrant. How would you suggest I meet funeral homes to promote myself?
Yeah, I honestly, I would do a short video of yourself, just introducing yourself, maybe just kind of a similar brief introduction that you may begin a service with, and then either start a website that you can send a link to, or just send it to the funeral home. Nothing wrong with calling them as well, introducing yourself, or just walking in when they don't have a service. Right? If there's cars in the parking lot, maybe come back. But if you walk in, introduce yourself, I think that's a great way to kind of break the ice as well.
Vicki Lynn has a couple questions. Have you ever seen anything spooky?
No, I really haven't. I have seen some incredible, what I call miracles that have happened. Things that have happened that have influenced, the growth, the journey, the strength and the peace of the family. And I've even had that personally happen to me in my own grief journey. But I've really never felt anything spooky. I've never felt anything evil. I've really never felt scared. Even when I first started in this industry and I threw myself into it because I wanted to have like a period of discernment, and I moved into a funeral home, and I actually worked there, during the night, going out and transferring deceased back to the funeral home. So I would roam the halls of this big empty funeral home at all hours of the night. And even then I wasn't scared. I was uncomfortable. It took me several months to get comfortable with it, but really I was never scared. But I really don't have any ghost stories. Now, I've got associates. I even got staff members that have some things that might be considered ghost stories. And if you're interested in, kind of what I call supernatural, super holy stories, there are my Porch Talk stories. If you go to those and click on the playlist, you can find several of those.
Vicki Lynn also asks, are some caskets not made well and a body can fall out?
Well, you're talking about the only thing that sometimes will keep me up at night is worrying about this.
Are these your nightmares?
These are my nightmares. Is a casket, failing? Has it ever happened to me? No. And the casket manufacturers we use, hey, Renee, thanks so much. They come in and they warranty you, and, they're rated for a certain weight. It's interesting because I went to the casket, one of our main casket supplier. I had to pick up a special order casket the other day, and they had an oversized one. It's a cloth covered. So it was a cloth covered, which means it's meant for cremation, which, are meant of a lighter material because they're meant to be cremated after. And they had a 3X, which is a very large casket. And that was my first question is, boy, is it going to be because the size of the person was going to be very above average. That's going to have to go into that casket is going to weigh a certain amount as well. And I questioned that as well. And they said, no, it's, this one was rated for 750 pounds. So.
Back to Celeste. She had a question about transporting, was it cremains? She wants to know, she lives in South Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, you should be fine. Mimi, thanks so much coming in. Ruth, thanks for the heart me. There shouldn't be any problem. Just go to your funeral home. I mean, this is for yourself. So you're pre-planning. So, whoever you're going to have in charge, or if you're pre-planning for yourself, make sure that they know exactly where the cremated remains are going. They could even ship them to the cemetery if you want. So.
What is embalming?
Embalming is a surgical procedure that replaces the normal body fluid with a chemical preservative meant as temporary preservation and sanitation of the remains. It's done with the circulatory system. We have to make an incision over major vessels and artery, and we raise the artery, meaning it's not like an IV. We actually raise the artery and size it, make an incision in the artery, and then put a cannula in. And then with a pressurized machine, we inject the embalming fluid into the artery, and then we open the vein and drain the blood out of the vein.
If someone donates their organs, what happens to the body after?
If they're donating their organs, then they will just go to the funeral home as indicated by the family. And anything that they want done, we still can do. It's just going to make it different. It's going to make a difference of how we actually care for the deceased after that. But everything can still be the same.
Kaz asks, do you ever see or feel a spirit?
It's a good question. Mm, there's so many things that I answer. There's so many things that I've answered and started when, especially since we've done the lives, and, I've gone, it kind of evolved into different things because it's made me think about things that I really haven't ever thought. Um, my immediate answer has always been no. I've never seen or sensed a spirit. But then I say, well, Eric, but what about the miracles? And I don't honestly know the miracles, whether they come direct from God or if, God actually, um, enlists the spirit or the soul to assist. I mean, they're specific to that family, so it would make sense if they do. But as far as actually recognizing a spirit or, a soul or even a ghost, I've never experienced that. Now, the results may have been because of that he or she or, the spirit of the deceased. That the results could have been, because of that person, but I honestly don't know. It's never been obvious to me.
Looks like Erica says, I sent you a video that mentioned actor Leslie Nielsen had a gas methane machine in his casket.
Erica, I don't know when you sent that to me, but I did see that video. I don't remember it being from you. I don't know if you just recently sent that to me or not, but I did see an article about that. How funny is that, huh? He just never stopped being a comedian.
Jennifer asks you should read the book Stiff.
Yeah. Actually, I think I have read that book, but many, many years ago. But I'll have to go back and see if it's the one I'm thinking of. Hey, Julie, welcome.
Have you ever done an exhumed body, and how?
Disinterments we do generally about every 2 years. We'll get one on average, and that's when the family makes the decision they want to move their loved one from one cemetery to another, or oftentimes, more than not now, they will actually have the deceased disinterred and will cremate, and then they'll move it. Maybe they're moving out of state, and it makes it easier to do that. So that's kind of been the trend the last decade or so. But sometimes they're just moved to another cemetery. But I mean, it can vary depending on the timing, how long the person has been in the grave or in the crypt. The difficulty of it can just vary greatly.
Is it true that being cremated, the body can sit up? If so, why does it sit up?
No, it's not true. I've never witnessed that. Now, we don't, excuse me just a second. I think I'm doing great. And then I get on here and I start talking a lot and all the gunk just starts, coming back. So sorry, folks. But now it's kind of a myth. Remains do not sit up in the cremation chamber. The muscles tense up. I mean, it's 14 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. So could there be some slight movement? Absolutely. I mean, it's not something that we really, watch for. For the most part, it's behind a closed door. There's a small window. On occasion, we kind of have to open it up to help facilitate some things. But I've never witnessed anybody sitting up. Hey, Margaret Ann, thanks so much. I appreciate you checking in tonight. Natalie, thanks so much. Moni Love and Neebee sending the heart me's. Greatly appreciate those. Heart me's are incredibly important. Not only do they help push out the content and, help ultimately with building our community, as well as all the gifts. But the other thing the heart me's do specifically is they make you part of the fan club, and it makes us easier to get to know you, so we can start to kind of follow along with you, your journey, whether it be just an interest level or your journey of your actual grief journey. And we greatly appreciate that. It makes it very interesting, for us to get to know you better that way. So those are, if you have a heart me and you haven't used it on us today, you can go ahead and drop it in. We appreciate that. We reached our lightning bolt already.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Thanks to so many people, including Chester Boy, Caitlin Collins, Tammy, Mr. Tony Spark, Christy Hardy, Renee Camperhead, Consigned Design, Steph, and Kayla, as well as many others. So we'll set up another goal. TikTok doesn't have very many Christmas things they kind of come and go. It's kind of interesting how they Go ahead, dear. I can still.
Okay. Decrepit Ugly Hag has a question. Do you have advice for someone weighing their options for schooling to enter the field?
Yeah, I would highly encourage you. I wish I could get instant answers because my first question is, have you worked for a funeral home? And if you haven't, I would highly encourage you to do a discernment period, whether it be 6 months or a year, and work at least part-time with a funeral home, preferably a family-owned funeral home where you're going to get kind of an experience of everything. You can help with services, you can help with visitations, you can maybe help with dressing, help move flowers, cleaning, washing vehicles. There's so many things, documentations, making folders. Um, we have a good friend of ours now on here named Gavin. He goes by Duck. He just started at a funeral home and he's doing that now. And from what I heard last time I checked in with him, he's absolutely loving it. And so I think he's well on his way to, discerning, making a positive discernment to going to mortuary college. So
Do you keep the deceased covered by a sheet?
we always do. It's very important to maintain dignity of a deceased, even during the embalming procedure, where really everybody has to be unclothed as much as possible because we're bathing them, and the embalming process is a wet process. But even then, the private areas are always covered with a smaller cloth at all times. So
Mary Radney says, where do all the body fluids go during the embalming process? Down the drain?
they do go down the drain, and people are always shocked and amazed by that. But that's exactly where they go.
And we had another question. Let's see, let me find it.
We'll see.
I think this might have been about embalming fluid. What is the fluid basically composed of? Alcohol?
Embalming fluid's formaldehyde based. So, there's various different types of embalming fluid, whether it be arterial fluid, there's cavity fluid. There's different additives sometimes that will correct the water that we're using. There's additives to help break up any clots that we may encounter, which is a natural part of the progression after death. And we have to break those clots up to help facilitate distribution of the fluid. There's even, so embalming, the main embalming purpose is a drying process to preserve. So there's even fluid that sometimes we add to slow that down. And there's humectants, so we don't dehydrate too much. So it just all is going to, the formula that we mix is going to depend on many things. How long we're going to care for the deceased, the size of the deceased, possibly what they died of, different conditions, if there's edema, water retention, or if they're incredibly emaciated, so many different variables. So there's a good amount of time and effort and consideration putting into mixing the embalming fluid before we actually press the button to go.
Like Tyler had a second question too. Also, is cremation actually against our, does that say religion? Religion.
Well, I don't know what your religion is, but there's...
I believe he's Christian. I think I saw...
Okay. Christianity in general is not... You're not against cremation. Even the Catholic Church since the 80s has authorized, fire cremation. They have certain stipulations they want followed as far as how the cremated remains are treated after. There are some, the LDS, Church of Latter-day Saints, you have very little cremation. There's still some specific denominations that don't do cremation. There's also some religions that is their primary. It's almost a religious part of it. The ceremony is built around the cremation process itself. Like the Hindus, a beautiful ceremony, and it's always based around the cremation itself. The majority of the service is done right outside the crematory. G. Weiland's in. Thanks so much for checking in. We were just talking about you the other day. Hilda, thanks so much for the Go Popular. Mimi, thanks so much for the Tom Christmas.
What is the weight limit for your cremation?
Our retort is actually, I think, up to 850 pounds. We try to stay under 650 pounds. If a gentleman or a lady is over that, there are other crematories that are rated for sometimes even up to 1,000 pounds that we may go to, because it can be very hard on the cremation chamber. So
Lori has another question. What happens to the health records of someone that has passed away now and went through your service?
Well, the health records we don't maintain except for the death certificate, and that's a public record actually. But to get a certified copy of it, you're going to have to prove. Hey, Stacy, good to have you here. You're going to have to prove that you're legal next of kin to get anybody can get a certified copy of the death certificate, but there's going to be a lot of information that's redacted if you're not, you've actually signed affidavit saying that you are a legal next of kin. So, so that record, including the cause of death, is actually public information that anybody can get. The actual medical records are still going to be protected under HIPAA law, but we don't generally keep those or have those. Just the cause of death is going to be shared with us. 901 Nurse Julie has joined us. Thanks so much. I appreciate seeing you and the Heart Me. Laura and Stacy Woods checking in.
Benzie Fowler asks, what was the worst case that you've handled?
Oh, there are so many situations that have been incredibly heavy, made heavy days and heavy on my heart, and that I will carry with me forever. I would say that one of the top three was the family that passed away in a car accident. So we had a mom, dad, 6-year-old little boy, and a 3-year-old little girl. And unfortunately, they all passed away. And just having a funeral that you have 4 caskets, all one family, and not only their family, but the entire community, and how much it weighed on them and just devastated them, was one of the most difficult services that I've ever had to work.
Paula, my plans upon my death are to retrieve my infant son and rebury him with me. Any recommendations?
Yeah, Paula, and I'm so sorry for your loss. I would, I don't know how you feel about cremation and how long ago this happened, but one way to absolutely ensure that would be to do the disinterment while you're still here, have him cremated, and then have the cremated remains with you until, that time comes, which would be an easy way to make sure that it happened. Now, that can be very difficult. And if you don't want to go through that, then I would just make sure that you put it in writing, either in your will or an advanced healthcare directive or in your pre-plans with a funeral home, so that those can be followed as well.
Do organ donors require special treatment?
Special treatment as far as the embalming procedure? Is that what you think, honey?
Or just under your care?
Yeah. They don't really require any special treatment, except for oftentimes the circulatory system has been disrupted. So we can't do, what we refer to as just a non-autopsied embalming. So it's basically doing it the same way as an autopsied embalming. So if the heart was transplanted or other vital organs, the circulatory system is going to be greatly disrupted, which means then that we're going to have to embalm the extremities separately and then formulate a plan for the rest of the organs that still exist, that may be intact, or they may have been removed because of an autopsy afterwards, just depending on the situation.
Michelle Hodge wants to know, are you concerned about the chemicals from embalming that could cause cancer?
Hey, Michelle, good to see you, friend. So we protect ourselves. There's cause for concern. My tree just fell off in the back.
Is that what that was?
On the porch.
Well, it's still on my screen. It must be delayed.
It's a little delayed, but you'll see it.
I get to see it
the
topple.
the falling tree.
I haven't seen it topple yet. Oh.
Did you see it?
Oh, there it goes. Timber. Christmas
is over. My tree just fell off.
I wonder if a cat knocked it over.
Dear. So we wear respiratory masks. We have incredible ventilation within the body. It's the fumes, that we're concerned about, especially if there's any type of a spill or anything. It can get, they're very strong. There's no doubt about it, but we do protect ourselves. So.
Doc.
Thanks, Annie.
Doc says, yes, I'm absolutely loving the funeral home. I've been so busy.
That's awesome, Galvin. That's amazing. So almost 1 week down. I wonder if you're having to work this weekend or not. But please keep us updated. So welcome, everybody. Let me introduce myself. I know I'm always amazed that between 89 and 94% of everybody that comes join us, we get so accustomed to, our regulars that come in, our Porchketeers, subscribers and everyone, that I forget that 89 to 94% of people that come in onto our lives have never been here before. So let me reintroduce myself. I'm Eric the Undertaker. I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer. I have been for over 27 years. We come live here to answer questions about your own death journey. No, your own grief journey, death, dying, or just anything that you've ever wanted to ask a mortician. I firmly believe that the more questions that get answered, the less anxiety and fear of death that people will have, first of all. But the most important thing that we're trying to do is to build a community where, made up of all of you, you can come in and you can actually support one another on your own grief journeys. I call them parallel grief journeys. Many people have lost parents, they've lost siblings, they've lost children, they've lost spouses, and you can relate. And we're seeing it happen all the time. We're seeing it happen that everybody comes in and supports one another, in the chat, or even offline later. We're hearing stories, and that really ultimately is the community and the goal of the community that we're trying to build. So that's why we're here. And tonight we're just answering questions as they come in. I'm joined by my wife, Allison, and some incredible moderators. And Allison gets to ask the questions that you put down on the table.
Kale Boy says, my friend just drowned in a lake, was found 3 days ago. Where would they start with an autopsy?
Well, they're going to have to determine, different things. Hey, Steph, first of all, whether there's water, how much water is in the lungs, if the person had passed away prior, or if the drowning was the cause of the death. That sometimes can even be done before the autopsy, but most likely there's going to be a postmortem examination and autopsy done. Somebody found, days after ending up in water can be a difficult situation because it amplifies the decomposition process oftentimes. And so that can kind of make it, it's still completely possible. It's just a little more challenging to get done, as well as the preparation after when they go to the funeral home. Hey, Bella, checking in from New Zealand. We are so glad you're here tonight.
Hollyhock shared, my aunt and her 6 kids died in a car train accident.
Yeah. And that type of amplified loss is not only incredibly, most importantly for the family themselves, is just incredibly devastating, but it just extends out to not only extended family, community, and I'll be honest with you, even the funeral professionals, dealing with that and helping the family, and that weighs so incredibly heavy.
Digger Doo is here and is, oh my God, I've been missing your lives, he said. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I was just saying to Allison, where's Digger Doo been? We haven't seen Digger Doo in probably like 3 weeks. So
do we have a name for Digger Doo?
I love Digger Doo.
Okay.
So I don't even want to know if he has another name or she has another. Yeah, I love Digger Doo. So.
Okay. Tyler has another question. You answered about cremation and Christianity. Do you think they'll ever make cremation mandatory?
Oh, interesting. No, I don't think so. And I think now that we have other options other than fire cremation, we have aquamation and now terramation, which is full body composting. I think you're going to see an increase in, alternatives to fire cremation. And you're going to continue to see an increase of people that are, some sort of cremation, fire cremation, aquamation, hydrolysis, alkaline hydrolysis, which is water cremation, rather than burials. But I think you're going to see the increase. Sorry, my desk is doing funny things.
You're lowering here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Audrey asks, what if I died with a tampon in?
Well, interesting question, Audrey. And it's honestly not something, if it's not obvious, we're not going to look for it. And it would, remain there. If it is obvious, then it would be removed. So it's going to depend also on what, the care that the family asks us to do of the deceased.
I'm seeing the part where everyone talked about your tree falling. It's pretty funny.
They're loving it. It was a good bit.
It happened.
Way to set it up nicely, honey. How did you, the fishing line worked well, huh?
Oh, yes. That was on purpose. I tugged at it. Derek Wright, future FD here. What's your best way to address a repeat family that has not paid previous services?
Yeah, that's an awkward situation. And honestly, you just have to, you take the call, you offer your condolences, you listen to what they want, and then you just simply say, folks, we would be so honored to serve you. But we need to talk about the last time we served you and the fact that we didn't get payment, because me personally, I would say as much as I would love to be able to do what I do and not have to charge for it, unfortunately, we have to make sure that we are going to be here for every family that needs us. And I need to make sure that I can support my family and my staff and their family.
G. Weiland has a question.
Sure.
Do you wear a respirator when you embalm?
I do. I wear a respirator whenever I embalm. The only, sometimes if I go in, later on to aspirate, I won't put a respirator on. But then when I go to put the cavity fluid back in, I will put that respirator back on, because cavity fluid is some of the, as you probably know, is some of the strongest fumes. So thanks so much for the Tom Christmases. We are just a little shy of our goal, and that is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, all of you.
Mimi Chan says, with all these lives and various questions, what has surprised you the most?
Ooh, good question, Mimi. I think what has surprised me the most? I am always fascinated by the repeat questions, which is interesting because there's been questions that now we get almost every single time we come on that I've never been asked before ever. Isn't that true, Allison?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to try to introduce those to myself, and now I see them almost all the time. But I think that I'm also, I'm not fascinated, but I am, my eyes and heart are really open to the amount of people that, that carry grief on a daily basis, and they're not being supported. And that's, I'm not judging people or communities because of that, but oftentimes people end up landing on our page simply because they are just trying to search for answers and maybe just search for a little lifeline that can just kind of help them get to the next stage. And I honestly, I even have changed since I've started doing this. I've even changed, my aftercare at the funeral home a little bit, and we've stepped it up a little bit, and we're checking in with people longer. We used to check people, we'd call them a week after the service, and then a month after the service, and then 3 months. And now we're going to 6 months and a year, just because of what I've learned here. So it has actually influenced what I'm doing at the funeral home now, and being able to reach out to people and making sure that they still, that they're connected with somebody or a community that can support them on their journey. And if not, we want to be able to help them. So that's been really one of the most incredible benefits of doing this. And the questions have just been fascinating to me. So that's a great, Mimi always has the best questions. I think she, she sits down and like writes them out, and she's like,
thinks about them ahead of time. They're well thought of.
Yeah.
Cactus Flower is here, and she says, I'm scared to lose my grandma mom.
Yeah. And that's totally normal. And when people are incredibly close to us, and we've, grown up with them, being such an influence on our lives, and we are molded by them. And then as they get older, and the reality of them not always being here is a huge realization to ourselves. And the only thing that I would say, because it's easy to say, okay, well, how can I prepare myself for somebody dying? I would say, set that aside and just continue to surround yourself with them. You get around them as much as you can, and create joy with them, create experiences with them, and just continue to kind of hit the gas pedal to live life with them as hard and as long as you can. Don't worry about the end. Your preparation will come. And I have a feeling that you're more prepared than what you think, because you've commented many times in here and on comments. And I have a good sense that you really are pretty grounded when it comes to that.
Purified says, have you ever done a funeral for miscarriages?
Oftentimes. And, it's a whole different level of grief, because oftentimes they are grieving, in the mom's case, somebody that she's carried, but really has never had the honor of, or will never have the honor of holding. Now, sometimes we can accommodate that, so they do, but not having the honor of holding, that child when he or she was alive. And it's incredibly unfortunate, but they not only are grieving the loss of a life, but they're grieving an entire life that they never got with them. And there's no other death like that. I just wanted to thank our Tom Christmas crew here. Of course, Chester Boy, she's always one of the top gifters, and she's such an incredible friend of our mission. And I so appreciate you, Carrie. And I said that today when you shared out our scheduled lives. So I appreciate it. And Margaret Ann as well. Thank you so much. Steph, you are an incredible support, and have been since almost the very beginning. 901 Nurse Julie, and your comments as well as your gifts always draw my attention, even throughout my day. I love the comments to stuff that I get popped up, and I leave notifications on. I know it's probably not the best thing for my attention span, but I leave them on because it brings joy to my day, and just checking in and seeing people. Tammy, Greta, thank you so much. And now she's one of our great moderators. Mimi, another incredible supporter of the channel. Erica, dropping in the Tom Christmas gifts. Barbara Honeycutt and Laura Tremblay and Mary Radney helped round out the top gifters on the Tom Christmas. We greatly appreciate you all. The gifts are great. If you're new here, new to TikTok, the gifts are fun and amazing. And some of them do cost a little bit. And we appreciate you wanting to do that. But what they do is they help expand our channel to people that have never heard of us, and ultimately come back, and we get to build a community because of it. So that's why we're so grateful when we do that.
Newbie says, Newbie025, my first Christmas without my mom, I'm heartbroken.
Yeah. And so many people, having lost, I would say, from the summer on, or any time this year, even if it was January 2nd, and then approaching all the first of the first, as you go throughout the year. And Christmas is incredibly hard. And there's so many things that you're not going to feel like doing that were connected to your mom. And that's okay. You can set those traditions aside. You can retire them if you want, and make them sacred to something that you just did, with your mom. And that's perfectly fine. Or you can just set them aside for a year or two, and then maybe bring them back maybe a little bit differently when you're ready. But just allow yourself plenty of time and grace as you work through this holiday season and Christmas, because it's not an easy thing to get through, and we're here for you in anything that we can do to help.
Ryan says, I'm a medical student and have always been worried about talking about death with families. Any advice?
Yeah, I'm so impressed, Ryan, that you even have that concern, because, and rightfully so. So many physicians and other healthcare workers, their main emphasis is and should be saving lives, extending lives, creating quality of life. So to be able to actually say, hey, I want to be able to do this too, is pretty amazing. And I greatly appreciate that. I think that just simply because you have a desire to, I think you're going to be just fine, because that's where your heart lies, with it. But I also know, because I've been told by many doctor friends, that there's not a lot of training when it comes to it. And you're just kind of left out there to say, when you have to walk in the room first time and tell somebody, family, that their loved one has died. As far as advice goes, I'm just on the other side of it. And so I'm there, I'm on the receiving end of it. So how you choose to kind of throw that football over on my side is something that I think you're going to have to kind of grow, personalize, and acquire on your own. So I guess I don't have the best advice on your end of it, but we're here. And, I would say that, yeah, never hesitate to have the family ask questions that might involve, somebody in my profession. And it's perfectly fine for them to call 1, 2, 3 different funeral homes and get questions, and they shouldn't feel forced. I always appreciate medical staff when they don't force families to make a decision. You know what? You don't feel like making a decision on what funeral home your loved one should go to? No problem. Why don't you go home, get some rest? We'll care for your loved one in the morgue facility until then. I think that's one bit of advice I would give you. I guess I had to kind of navigate my way to that advice, but that would be one thing that I would consider, because I always appreciate it when healthcare workers don't force families to make decisions.
Cayenne shares, it's super hard. My grandma lost her uncle and cousin as a kid, and she still thinks about them.
Yeah, she still carries them. And that's perfectly normal. People don't die in our lives. We don't drop them off on the side of the road and walk away from them. We carry them with us. We carry them differently. Grief is not something that goes away. Grief is something that becomes part of us, changes us. And hopefully it does so for the benefit of us. It makes us stronger. We find a different peace. We may even look at life differently and appreciate our own life, and realize that we still have a lot of people that we can be grateful for as well. So
Sherry says, my mom has Alzheimer's. I'm watching her die in front of my eyes.
Yeah, that is such a difficult death to watch. Oftentimes people with Alzheimer's and different types of dementia, they're healthier in many other ways. And cognitively, to watch somebody die cognitively, and to, slowly get to a point where they just forget, not only, they forget stories, they forget, how to brush their teeth, they forget even eventually how to eat. And then eventually it even affects, their organ system. And it's a long process, and it's incredibly, incredibly hard to watch. And my heart goes out to, families that come in after such a long journey with Alzheimer's or Lewy body dementia, or, other types of dementia, because it's incredibly difficult to watch.
Sherry in Cincinnati said, is terramation more or less expensive than a traditional funeral service?
It's more than fire cremation. I think right now it's running around $4,000 to $5,000, because it does take longer than anything else. So there's more care involved. It can take 45 to 60 days, under the care of that facility. So
Lauren says, how long does it take to embalm one person?
that's going to greatly vary depending on the situation, whether the person was autopsied or not autopsied. Is going to depend on the experience of the embalmer. If there's any challenges during the procedure. For me, a non-autopsy person will take me anywhere from 45 minutes to 90 minutes in general. That's from beginning, setting features, to clean up after, suturing, everything. Autopsy for me is going to take 3 hours plus, because there's a lot more suturing involved.
Michelle wants to know, what is water cremation?
Aquamation is done in a solution that's heated up slightly, and rather than fire cremation. So the tissue breaks down in that solution, breaks down and, becomes part of the solution. Actually, what's remaining is skeletal remains, just like fire cremation. But then the fluid that the tissue breaks down to is essentially goes down the drain into the waste management system That's sometimes surprising to people too. And that's honestly, that's what I'm still kind of having a hard time wrapping myself around. And I just read an article about the Catholic Church who is fine with fire cremation, but because they feel so strongly about how the remains should be treated after cremation, they've come out with a doctrine stating that they're not allowing aquamation because the solution, the tissue breaks down in that solution, and then it isn't placed in a cemetery. It actually goes down the drain.
CC says, for all of the negative we hear about, there are great plus sides to social media, such as this.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I agree. I'm amazed sometimes. Gosh, there's some incredible creators in TikTok and on YouTube, and there's a lot of incredible information that we all can gain. And then there's a lot that I just shake my head at, and I'm like, why does anybody want to spend their time, watching this? So our goal is that this is something that people can get value. Our goal is ultimately is that people can, virtually walk away from spending a few minutes or a couple hours with us, and they can get some value. So thank you, for that affirmation. I appreciate that.
Stephanie asks, if the family wants a viewing before cremation, what is the protocol for having a viewing casket?
If the family wants a viewing before cremation, what is the protocol? So Stephanie, some funeral homes have rental caskets where there's an insert that goes into it with a separate interior that the deceased is placed into, then comes out as kind of a shell that it sets into. Problem with that is that then, it has to be replaced every single time, and the family doesn't have a lot of choice as far as color or the type of material. Our funeral home offers cremation caskets, so individual cremation caskets that actually oftentimes cost less than the use of a rental casket, and then the remains would stay in that casket. When they go to the crematory, so they wouldn't be transferred out of it. They would stay. That would be theirs to keep, so to speak, and go on their journey. But it's also made out of material, either wooden material without metal or less metal, or fiberboard material that's easily consumed during the cremation process. And there's very little of it that actually comes back with the cremated remains. So.
I've had it with wakes and funerals. I no longer attend them. Went to so many.
I'm sorry you feel that way. And I think that's fine. I think if you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I can't do it anymore. Or you need a break from it. And maybe that's just what it is. You kind of need to give yourself a little moratorium, not going to them if it's affecting you too personally, and it's not healthy for you emotionally or mentally, then there's no reason you can't take a break. So.
Sorry, there's one I want to pin, but I'm not able to, so I'm just going to ask them to rephrase it.
Oh, is it being filtered?
Yes, and I want to be able to ask it, so let me just pin somebody else.
Okay.
How often do you do funerals for new mothers? My sis passed when her daughter was 10 days old. Oh, goodness. So
how
often do you do funerals for new mothers who have passed?
It doesn't happen very often. I've had a couple situations in 27 years that the mom died during childbirth or shortly thereafter of complications. And yeah, that's a heavy day. That's an incredibly heavy situation, because then oftentimes you have a new life, but without the mommy.
Mindful and Moody said, my mom died on Tuesday. It's going to be my first Christmas without her too.
And so close. And please don't feel like you have to do any of it. Or if you want to do all of it, that's fine too. Whatever you are going to find peace and a little bit of strength in, because right now you're at the stage that you're just trying to pick pieces up of yourself. And please just allow yourself plenty of time, plenty of grace to do whatever you feel like doing as you enter the Christmas, not only just the whole week of it.
Both Anna V and Max and Weenie, if you could just rephrase yours slightly so that I could pin them, because some of those words I can't, they get restricted. And I do want to share. Can funeral directors forbid family from viewing a body?
So we can strongly advise against it. Listen, there's situations that I am not prohibited. Well, let me rephrase that. There's no law that states that I have to allow a family to view a loved one. Ultimately, if there's family that insists on it, we'll have them sign a waiver. We'll have one or two family members go in. We'll do the best we can. On the rare occasion I've had that happen, after recommending that they don't view, every single time they've walked out of the room and looked at me and they said, I am so sorry we did that. We should have listened to you. It really is in the best. We have nothing but the best intention, for families. And there's nothing more. If the family wants to see their loved one, it breaks our hearts when we have to say we can't recommend that. Almost to the point, the family could have the option of moving to another funeral home and seeing if another funeral home could allow them. But generally what we do in that situation is we have, let's have one or two family members that are willing to sign a waiver, and then they can go in if they want.
Barbara Honeycutt, I see her here a lot. I want to pin her comment. She says, my dad has been gone for 25 years and my mom for 12 years. I miss them so every day.
Yeah, Barbara. And that's a perfect example that, the hurt never goes away. It just becomes part of us. And, them being that hurt is the echo of their love. And if that's with you every single day, be grateful for that, because there's a lot of situations that even with parents that, there's really no love lost. And that wasn't your situation. So the fact that you carry them with you every single day is absolutely amazing. And I'm grateful for that.
Digger Do asks, can you color my sensational silvers after I've passed?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Sensational silvers.
Yeah, sensational silvers. But if you feel that, what was that?
Well, I'm afraid a dog got into our dinner. Or it was our little one.
If you need to check on that, honey, go right ahead. If you feel that type of or the description of your sensational silvers, I'm surprised you would want them to go anywhere if you're that proud of them.
Trying to get our 15-year-old to deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's blaming the youngest. Gino says, my mom passed on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough holiday season for you as well. And I am so incredibly sorry for your loss. I have done several videos about grief during the holidays, and if you find value in them, they're fairly recent because I've been trying to do them the last few weeks. So please check those out. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here in anything that we can do.
Sorry, you're too fast for me.
It's okay.
Once a person is embalmed, does anything keep growing, like their hair or nails?
No, oftentimes people ask that because it can look like they're growing, but they stop growing at a cellular level. Dehydration, though, is part of the natural decomposition, and especially if embalming's done, it's going to amplify that. And so the tissue, nails, skin around the nail bed will recede with dehydration, and it'll actually make the nails look like they've grown. Same way with the hair and the scalp, it'll do the same thing.
Tom wants to know, how many funeral homes do you want?
I'm not into collecting funeral homes. We want to be able to manage not only the businesses, but more importantly, manage the care that we offer the families that we serve at a level of quality that we can be proud of and that those families deserve. So that's gonna dictate the limitations, right, honey?
Yes. Are the bodies clothed when they're embalmed?
No, they have to be unclothed. Hey, Jody, thanks so much for checking. You're up late in the UK. They do have to be unclothed so we can facilitate this. It's a surgical procedure, and then the washing and draining of the blood. But we do always use a cloth to make sure that their private areas are covered at all times.
Okay, Anna V, she was rephrasing for me. Her 5-year-old niece, brutally unalived, taken out of this world. And she was, let's see, I'm trying to find the first one, but I think she was recommended, the funeral director recommended or advised not to view her.
Yeah. And my heart breaks for your loss. One of the hardest things that I have to deal with oftentimes is the anger that I feel in situations that you just described. Not only for the life that was taken, but just the lives that are affected by that. Not only with young lives like this, but sometimes there's young parents that are taken this way. That life is stolen, and there's young kids that are surviving now, and they have to navigate without a mom or daddy, whatever the situation is. So I'm so sorry that your family's having to navigate that. And I am so sorry that it was a situation that you weren't able to find peace, extra level of peace of actually seeing her as well.
Hilda has a question. I'm not sure what it is yet. She said, I'm running out of battery. Please answer my question. I've seen 2 things come through so far, and I've been waiting for more of a question. I saw the word burial with a question mark, and I saw help with an exclamation point. But I'm thinking anything else she's tried to comment might be filtered.
Hilda, how about just emailing me so I can answer you back directly? erictheundertaker@gmail.com. erictheundertaker@gmail.com. And if you follow me, that might be helpful too. But I can always, get back to you. Or direct messages are just now coming from subscribers, just because it was being too hard to manage. But emails, I'll always, get back to you on. So,
Okay,
which
hopefully
reminds me, if you don't, E4T, thanks so much for checking in. How are you doing, my friend? If you don't follow us already, like E4T does, and many of you, please go ahead and click that follow button. We would greatly appreciate that. We are working on trying to approach 55,000, maybe before Christmas Day.
How close are you?
We're 54 something.
54.
So we're working our way there.
Which was our goal in our last live, to get to 54.
It was. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, David has a question. Does anyone ever do wakes at home like they did years ago?
We do home vigil services. Often there's many cultures that still do it. They would do it, in their home country. And now that they're here, they find great value in that. We take the casket out to the residents sometimes, set it up for an afternoon, sometimes even overnight. And it's perfectly fine. I think it's a beautiful option, and families, can feel comfortable. Oftentimes, somebody asked about a party before. Sometimes that turns into a party. And, kind of a wake situation, and they'll play music sometimes all night long, share stories, share food, and just come together as a family and community. It's beautiful and amazing.
Brandy asks, do you receive, it doesn't want me to ask it. I'm just going to read it. Do you receive the organs after an autopsy is done?
Yes, we do. Almost always, Brandy. There's generally tissue samples taken of those organs, and then the organs are returned to us. Many times people say, they're returned in a plastic bag. Well, yeah, oftentimes they are, because they in a biohazard bag that's placed with thanks so much for the crane. And they'll come back, but we take them out of that. We embalm the extremities separately because the circulatory system's been disrupted. And then we treat the organs individually, and then take them out of the bag, put them into a drying powder, and we'll place them back into the deceased in approximate anatomical position.
Becky says, my dad was cremated. He had a fistula and a port. Are they removed before cremation?
No, generally not. If the hospital or care facility did not remove them, that type of thing will stay with them. Now, if there's something that has any type of lithium battery, so if it has a pacemaker, defibrillator, a neurotransmitter, something like that, then those will be removed before going to cremation, because that lithium battery can actually explode. Steph, thanks so much for coming back. I think you were here earlier. You must have went and maybe had a good dinner and came back.
Gavin says, what causes of death do you see most in your area, Eric?
Well, cancer still beats everything just because there's so many different types of cancer, Gavin. Uh, Followed by, different cardiovascular diseases. And then unfortunately, we've seen an increase in overdose, especially fentanyl overdose to an epidemic level, which is the one surprising thing. So
Silver says, my husband had Lewy body dementia 15 years. Taking care of him was one of the greatest blessings.
oh my gosh, I'm so glad you see it as that and that you were able to love him throughout that battle and that journey. And even now you see that as a blessing, and how admirable and amazing are you to still have that attitude, because many people get to that point and they're just exhausted. And I can even see, and I've even seen this even in other family members. They've been caretakers so long, and it just beats them down. And so when the death actually happens, it takes a while before they can actually start to remember the good, because all they can remember is the immediate history of the hard part. And so that can kind of lengthen the beginning of the grief process as well. So I'm so incredibly grateful that you had that experience.
Piero asks, how do you keep the mouth shut in a way that looks natural?
So generally we, to close the mouth, we either suture or we wire the jaw together. And generally that's going to bring a natural closure to the lips. Sometimes we have to add something underneath the lips to kind of give them a little more life. We have both, there's a substance that I always call peanut butter. It kind of looks like peanut butter that hardens after you put it in. That'll help kind of fill the lips out. Sometimes we have to use tissue builder. Sometimes, Carrie, thank you so much, Brent. I asked for a few of those and she's like dropping all of them. I saw Julie it did the same thing. So thank you. I do. I've got my tea, Jody, but I'm just I'm completely over what I had. It's just the after effect.
Generally hits hard and lingers with Eric for a while.
It does. Yeah. For some reason, it takes me forever. So our daughter's the same way, but, so that generally brings a natural closure to it. On occasion, we have to use a little bit of more tray glue as well, but I really hate to, if at all possible, we try not to do that. So thank you, Carrie.
Mara D20 says, thanks for addressing not viewing loved ones. My son died in a horrific car accident and we couldn't, I assume, see him.
Yeah. And like I said, it breaks our heart when that happens, because we want nothing more than family to find closure.
Oh, here. I see a second part here.
Okay.
Let me just get that. Couldn't view his body. I have always wondered if I should have, but you've put my mind at ease.
Yeah. If the funeral home, ultimately our goal is listen, we go to school specifically to be able to make sure that people can see their loved one, even after incredible trauma and different types of disease and situations. So when we can't do that, it really does break us. So if you have a funeral director, an embalmer, mortician that says, I can't recommend, they're really saying, I care about you so much that I don't want this to be the last thing that you think of when you remember your loved one.
California woman asks, can you embalm a body using a different fluid than formaldehyde?
Well, they've experimented with, they're all formaldehyde based. They have gotten better as far as, the fumes and the potential effects on people, the professionals that are, caring for the deceased. But the industry standard is still going to be a formaldehyde based solution.
Steve says, during cremation, does the body make noises, including the vocal cords?
No, there's no sounds really that come out, except for the cremation chamber itself is very loud.
Terry asks, would a mortician process the body of their own family member or pass them to another facility?
Well, ultimately, it's going to be up to that individual funeral director. And unfortunately, there's going to be situations in very rural areas where they're not going to have a choice, or it's going to be a very difficult choice. Hey, Jen, thanks so much for joining. But my professional my professional, I guess, policy is that if it's somebody that that I'm going to need to grieve, if I'm close enough to them that I'm going to need to grieve them as well, I don't want to be professionally involved. So I'll have somebody else take care of it.
Luna wants to know, how was your mortuary school experience? Can you remember that far back, sweetie?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can. It was very busy. I had, I worked full time, which I don't recommend the entire time because I also had, um, my, my oldest son was born during that time period, that same year. But overall, I have some incredible memories, the experience, the knowledge that I gained, and then just for the first time ever to be in an environment where everybody there had the same the goal and passion for what we all wanted to do. Even in working in a funeral home, you really don't get that because you interact with different people coming in and out, different various parallel industries that may they're going to help facilitate what needs to be done, but they're really not part of your industry. So that was one of the most amazing thing, was just for the first time ever, you're surrounded by everybody that walked through the door of the mortuary college was there because they wanted to be a mortician, which is really unheard of.
Summer Tedder asks, do they wear clothes to be cremated?
Yeah, it's going to be up to the family. We are always going to make sure they're covered and clean when they go, even if the family doesn't bring in clothing or at least a hospital gown. But oftentimes families will bring in clothing, even if they're not going to view them, and we will dress them in whatever they bring in.
And Tanella Worley says, can you take cremation remains overseas?
Yeah, and can we, because I read this article also, Joy's TikTok, if you could pin that one also, honey. Can you take cremated? Yes, you can. It's surprising because we specialize in shipping remains all over the world. And that same specialty actually has to apply to cremated remains as well, because the paperwork generally that's requires to take cremated remains is basically sometimes as much as if they're taking casketed remains. So
just want to let you know, Luna, who asked about your experience with mortuary school, wants to try it out and is curious.
Yeah, I would try out working at a funeral home first. Thanks for the heart puffs, E4T. Greatly appreciate that. And I would try out working at a funeral home before you go to the expense and effort of actually enrolling in a mortuary college, though. Maybe you have already, but if you haven't done that, then I would encourage you to do that. So,
Joy's TikTok. Martha Stewart said she wanted organic burial.
Yeah.
Oh, well, something else just got pinned. Let me see if I can find it. Martha Stewart said she wanted organic burial directly into ground. Is this possible?
So what she was specifically talking about was terramation, was full body composting, which is now allowed, I think, in 12 states, and every year more states are being added. So yeah, she and I might even consider that for myself. So that's definitely possible and a viable option. So
I'm going to repin Dark X. I think one of our moderators might have pinned that. So let me get it back up. I am proud, and I have had the great honor of cremating and embalming and burying a lot of my own family. I am the undertaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can understand that side of it as well. But I will tell you, when I got the call at 3 a.m. that my son died, and they requested, for me to come pick him up as the funeral home, I wasn't about to do that. I knew that wasn't going to be, that was not going to be in the best interest of my own grief journey. And it was at that point that I made the decision. Actually, I made the decision years ago when I dressed my grandmother and I walked out and said, you know what, I'm going to have somebody else do that. But there are going to be those that can do it, and they consider it an honor, and they want to take that on, and absolutely, to each their own.
E4T. Why aren't we on the porch? Or are you on the porch but enclosed?
I wish it was enclosed.
I told you we should enclose it so we have that option.
I know, but then, maybe.
No, both.
Someday,
we can have, yeah.
I know, honey.
We can dream big.
We can dream big. It's cold in California, E4T, and so there There was, I think possibly this weekend, there might be an afternoon that's going to be warm enough that we can go out on the porch. So I am missing the porch. I am greatly missing the porch, but we are off the porch. The porch is right here. Those are the porch lights. Normally there's even a tree that lives out here, Christmas tree, but my wife kicked it over during the live.
Mm-hmm.
So
I sure did.
yeah.
I'm the Grinch. Ledger said, if I were to donate my body for science, should I still be able to have a cenotaph at the family plot?
Yeah, absolutely. You should be able to. That should be up to the cemetery. Now, listen, even if you donate your body to science, Ledger Balance, thank you so much for those. If you donate your body to science, they're going to utilize it for generally academic purposes or research purposes. Sometimes they can continue to do that for 2 years or more. Afterwards, most of the programs then cremate the remains and then offer the cremated remains back to the family. So then those cremated remains could be buried there as well. E4T says, love you, Allison.
Oh, for knocking over your Christmas tree?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. This is...
It's just our banter that I think
I
didn't knock anything over.
I know. I would be nothing without you, honey.
Oh. Neuro Nerd says, are the morticians the one that carry out the cremation or someone else that is trained on the job?
Another username I've got to let sink in first. That's an awesome username. Neuro Nerd. ICURN. Are the morticians the ones that carry out the cremation or someone else that is... What is the rest of that, hon?
At the cremation, or is someone else that is trained on the job?
Well, we have a cremation operator. So generally it's not the funeral director. I don't go and start and do the cremations myself. We have somebody that's full-time at the crematory that does it. I've been trained. I know how to do it, but we have a full-time crematory operator that does it. Thanks so much for all the cranes.
I found Hilda's question.
Oh.
I don't know if it got rephrased, but...
Or she got battery back?
Maybe. I don't know. But I'm very excited. Let's
okay.
See. Hilda, I lost my fiance. My fiance a week before we got married. Is there a way I can find where he was buried?
Oh my goodness. So his family didn't let you know that for some reason.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Hilda, I'm so sorry for your loss. Listen, yes, there should be. You want to do it legally, but you should be able to get a copy of the death certificate. It's a public record, and that information should be on that death certificate. Once again, Hilda, you may want to email me, and I can give you some specifics. You can let me know what state you're in. I can even do the research. Chance you might even be in my state, and I can possibly even help you even greater. But a lot of the states, I'm going to have information on what exactly to do. So if you email me directly, I can probably give you, an outline of exactly what you need to do and still do it legally and get the information that you want.
Eric, what is it like working at a funeral home?
It's a lifestyle. It's a 24-hour, 7-day a week, every single day of the year, every holiday with the potential of being interrupted, family events being interrupted, the phone ringing beside our bed for the last 27 plus years. And I wouldn't change it for anything. I would not change it for anything.
And there's a difference, though, between working at a funeral home and owning a funeral home.
There is. Yeah, that's a good point. There is a very big difference. So, but I'm going to answer it as an owner operator. Can you pin Gigi 612's?
Okay, I'll find it. What can I put in right now?
You're the boss. You're the producer of the show, so you do whatever you want.
I always got some in the queue.
Yeah.
Let me just get Michelle's up first while I look for it.
Okay. If a good chance, though, if you have not followed us yet, if you could go ahead and click the follow button, we would greatly appreciate that. We've got a goal of trying to get 150 followers during this live. So,
Michelle P. wants to know, what was the age of the oldest person that died and came into your care?
113 years old. Dear lady, who was amazing. I think she stopped driving at 99 and still went on for 14 more years.
Throw me off when I've got to go down to the very bottom. Let's see. Was it a new one from Gigi?
Well, I can see it. I can ask it.
Can you pin it? Oh, I have it. Okay, let me get it.
Okay.
Have you experienced anger with your grief?
So
your personal grief, I assume.
Yeah. Gigi, interesting. I don't know if you're just setting me up for my latest post, because I literally I was late getting on here because I was posting my today's porch talk, which is exactly about this. And it's about my own and anger and grief, which is very, very normal. And not only when my son died, did I experience anger, but I experienced anger with God, with my God. And it separated me from my faith for a time because of it, because I couldn't understand why this happened. I couldn't understand, why it happened now and how it happened. And I couldn't understand why my God would let it happen. And it took me a while to come to the realization that I had no control over that, and that God's plan was much greater than mine or anybody's. And I needed to ultimately stop grieving the time that I didn't get with my son and start being grateful for the time that I did get with him. But I was incredibly angry about it. And mostly not angry with my family for the most part. It didn't, it wasn't taken out on them, but it mostly was, it rattled my faith to the core because I was so angry.
Hilda had one more thing to share. She was too traumatized to remember. And there's recommendations to look at Find a Grave. This was for her fiance.
Yeah. There's paperwork that it's going to have on it. And so if you get a copy of the death certificate, or if you have a copy of the death certificate, or if you remember the funeral home that he was taken care of, and you could go there and ask them, possibly you could search obituary records. Maybe it's in there. If there was an obituary, you can just simply Google it. But you may, Google's pretty amazing. You may be able just to Google his name and burial or cemetery, and then it might come up from there as well.
I just want to say hi to a hopefully new follower here. Hi, Eric. I just found you and your wife. Happy to join this family from Ohio.
Shelly, welcome. We are grateful to have you here. Thanks so much for giving us a chance. So we have a pretty cool community. So I hope you stick around and reap the benefits of that.
And California Woman says, this is the most informative live on mortuary science.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that is an incredible compliment, because there's a lot of other content out there. I'm not going to lie. I really wanted to try to do things a little bit differently, not because other people do it wrong, but just because I wanted to make it my own. And I wanted it based more on, we talk about the industry, we talk about things, but I really wanted to be based more on my experiences and the lessons that I've learned from those experiences. So thanks for joining us.
Danielle says, what do you do when a person's family member passes away out of state?
So generally we will work with a funeral home there to prepare if they want to bring them back home, prepare the person, and arrange for, air cargo flight, back home. And then we'll receive them from the airline, unless we need to, if they want to be cremated, then we may help facilitate cremation taking place wherever they passed away, and then transport back. So
Blessed
Daniel,
Jess. Oh, go ahead.
you just give me a second.
Sorry.
I just want to acknowledge some people bringing in Ledger Balance, as well as Carrie on the paper cranes. Thank you so much, Carrie Chesterboy. Daniel Potali with the roses. And we've got some SpongeBobs as well from Danielle, and Sheila, and Brett Cross with the heartbeat. Thank you. And Ledger with another paper crane. Thank you so much.
Blessed Jess asks, do dentures and partials typically stay with the deceased for burial or cremation?
Yes, they generally will, unless the family doesn't want them to. But generally, if they want that part to go with them, it certainly will.
Lauren says, having seen what you've seen, are you personally afraid of dying?
Not at all. I think more so just the opposite, because now I'm blessed that I have a faith that helps, answer the question of death for me and takes away the majority of the fear. I still have a lot of questions about death, even am dealing with on a daily basis. But the simple fact that I come in contact with with deceased people every single day, and when I do that, there's no doubt that they are without life. and that the energy and the life, the spirit, the soul that was within that created that life is gone someplace else. So that just affirms my belief that there is more than here, and takes away any fear that I have of death. So.
I want to put special attention on this one. My cluttered garage is here. And he says Elizabeth's 1-year anniversary is Saturday, 12/20.
Ed, and you're going to be in our prayers. Your entire family is going to be in our prayers and thoughts. And tell you what, friend, we'll even we have a lantern that we light for Evan, our son. Any family event that we ever do, a little oil lantern, so he's always present. And on the 20th, we'll light that for your Elizabeth out here in California on the other side, because you've quickly become a friend. And I was honored to join Ed and his YouTube channel, My Cluttered Garage, on a live. And he talks about kind of homesteading and farm life and rural life and tractors. And but he contacted me a couple of months ago and shared with me that he had his own personal loss, which landed him on our page, and which often is the case, but asked if I'd ever be interested in coming on hand. I said, absolutely, I would love to. And he made the point. He goes, you know what? This is what my channel's about, but everybody grieves. And it's a common denominator for all of us, right? We all eventually are going to face death. And before then, we're going to carry grief with us. Thank you so much for that. He has been incredibly helpful already in just, trying to help us out with YouTube. And he's now trying to build a channel here on TikTok as well, as we all, continue to try to reach other people with our content. And he's got some great content. So My Cluttered Garage, we will be thinking of you, Ed, and your family. And he's got some fascinating stuff there too. So check him out, friends, if you will, on TikTok and YouTube. So
Neuro Nerd says, at the end, can you please tell us a touching story to leave us with? I just love hearing those.
Will we have time for a story tonight?
Well, you might just have to stop me early so that you have time.
So Neuro Nerd, it's not going to be because I don't want to. It's going to be because my wife won't let me, and she will continue to ask questions, and she's going to take all the time up. So
just let me know what time I have until, and then we'll make it work.
Okay.
Michael asks, I read of cremation, which involves liquid put into the body. Any opinions on this?
Read of cremation, which involves liquid put into the body. I'm not familiar with that, Michael. I am familiar with aquamation, when the deceased is placed into a solution that's heated up and is broken down in that solution, but I'm not familiar with something that's injected into the body that breaks the tissue down in some sort of cremation. So it's either something I don't know, or it may be a misunderstanding. Maybe it's the alkaline hydrolysis, the aquamation that you're thinking of.
I've seen this next question a couple of times. I want to get it up. How are eyes kept shut?
So it's interesting because it's a very thin membrane. And you may have heard me say that one of the things that we battle in caring for a deceased is dehydration, especially after embalming. So dehydration, and that very thin membrane can actually separate. So yes, eyes can tend to open. The eyelid can open and separate because of dehydration, whether with the embalming or without embalming, or amplified with the embalming process. So there's a couple things that we do. We use an eye cap, which is kind of a flesh-colored contact that covers the entire inside of the eye, and the eyelid goes over it. Also has barbs on it that helps keep the eyelid shut. And then it's kind of, thanks so much for the hat. I haven't got one of those in quite a while. But it also, if the eyelid opens, it's skin colored, so it will. That hat was so amazing, it froze me. Am I frozen for you?
Not for me.
Oh,
I see the
me.
hat now.
Yeah.
That's the delay.
Oh, I see.
We'll
Okay.
find out if you're frozen.
Well, I'm still frozen on my end, so.
Okay, well,
But it's a pretty good look for me, though, because I've got my hat on and the mustache. So maybe I'll grow one of those, honey.
let's try it.
Okay. She knows I can't.
I know I can't. Jade said, this is interesting. For the first time in Jade's life, she searched for Ask a Mortician this morning, and then you showed up on her feed.
How amazing is that? I guess the SEO and the algorithm is working then. If I'm coming anywhere near the top, that is success. So thank you. Oh, could you not hear me for a little while, Carrie? Can't hear.
I wonder if you froze
Sound
and
back.
your sound.
I guess so.
I wonder what everyone missed.
I don't know, but I'm frozen.
What do I do?
Well, I think everybody can still hear me, right?
Okay, fingers crossed. Francine says, first time viewer, has being a mortician given you more peace about death and leaving this world?
Yeah, I think it definitely affirmed, my belief that when somebody dies, what's left is just that, the remains. It's not taking away from that. It's a precious part of a person, and it tells the story of a person, and it's been the vessel that spirit and soul has lived in, for many, many years, oftentimes. But it's still without a spirit or soul. And that brings me an incredible amount of peace professionally, because I know that that spirit or soul's gone somewhere else.
I'm going to look for Shelly. Shelly wants me to look for her message. I'll keep looking. Kathy says, do you ever have any days where you have a free day at work?
Free day? What's a free day?
You don't know what that is. So the answer is no.
Yeah, hardly ever.
But even if you had free time, you fill it in with something productive. That's just you and your personality.
Yeah, I do. But we also, as owners, there's always things to do. There's sometimes we have to do marketing. We do different community events.
You still have that hat and mustache on. It's just staying.
But I'm still moving.
But the sound is good now, apparently. Someone had to leave and come back. Yeah, that just doesn't go away. You're still moving. But you're going to, maybe they paid extra for one that
Wait,
stays.
just permanently on there?
Yeah.
It's like a tattoo?
I don't know. This will be fun. But my cluttered garage says you're not frozen.
Okay. Terry, thanks so much for the sparklers and the heart me. I greatly appreciate that. And Joanne, thanks so much for that affirmation in dropping those and helping push out the content. That's very, very kind of you. So thank you.
I can't get over this.
I still got the hat on.
Yeah, I think it's there
and
for
the
good.
mustache?
I think it's there for good.
Could have been at least a Santa hat. It could have been like seasonal. So seasonally appropriate, right?
This is the best.
This is the best, she says.
Yes.
We'll post the highlights after.
Well, Sherry said I'm still looking for, I think it was Sherry. Now I forget who I was looking for. No, it was Shelly.
TikTok Live Studio's frozen. It's like I'm not even seeing.
No. I hope everyone can hear you. I'm seeing no sound, but I don't know if that's old.
I can't even see any. I think we may have lost. I can't even see the chat anymore, honey.
I see a chat. Maybe some of our mods. Can anybody just confirm thumbs up if you can hear? But it looks like you've got some responses to things here. Unless I'm seeing a delay in the comments. Okay, Micah Bear said we can hear you. Sound is fine, blessed Jess. I can hear and see you. But that hat is here to stay.
The hat is here to stay. I can't see. I'm frozen completely on my screen. But as long as you guys are good, that's all that counts. Yeah.
Okay. Ledger has a question here. When someone passes, why do their eyes look so cloudy?
It's part of the dehydration. The color is going to change very quickly because there's so much fluid in the eye of that. And without that, they're going to not only start to shrink and kind of sink in, but that cloudiness is going to start to take place.
EDEC says, I hear you. I can hear you, Cowboy Eric. Did you press something maybe that made it stay?
No, I have the spinning wheel here and that's it. So I am permanently a cowboy.
LAT said, it's a permanent fixture. Carry on. Okay.
Yeah.
I got the memo.
All right.
Okay. Shelly will redo her message. I'll keep looking for you. Might have to rephrase it, Shelly. Or I just missed it. It's either of the two. Okay. Now I've got lots of comments. I've got to back up. Sorry. If you see one, you can go on.
I can't see anything. My
Oh, you don't
chat's
see
completely
anything.
frozen. I have nothing.
I just see a lot of comments now, so now I got to
Yeah.
go back to find a question. Sorry. Okay, I almost logged out.
I tell you what, I think we're going to have to reset it. And we're almost to our stop time anyway. But I'm willing to go on a little bit longer, but I can't.
Kathy went out and came back, and you still have the hat. Yeah,
I still have the hat.
The mustache is cracking Susie up.
Oh gosh,
There's
Susie.
a lot of comments, and just now I can't find any questions. So do I ask a question, or do you need to reset
No,
because you're frozen?
I think I'm going to have to reset.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm going to have to reset. But I'm okay coming back on for a few minutes. If people want to join back on, I'll probably refill my tea and then come back on for a few minutes.
Erica says you got to tip your hat. There we go.
Am I moving? Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to reset it. I mean, I am totally locked out. Let's reset it, dear.
Okay. Well,
And we'll
remember
come
your
back on.
question. I apologize.
Yeah. And if we miss you, we don't.
Micah Bear, remember that question? I see that now.
Let's go out with a song though. Just in case, but we'll go out with. Hopefully, everyone can hear the music.
Oh, people are taking pictures. I need to take a picture too. Okay, wait, face forward.
Night's grown quiet, the stories are through, but this little porch still waits for you.
Did you get it?
It's delayed.
Oh, it's
I've got to
delayed.
wait for that to happen.
Stars are bright, we'll keep that swing rocking through the night.
Yes, I
As
got it.
Christmas draws near with
All
its
right.
joy and ache, may
We'll play our
peace
Christmas
fill
goodbye
the
song,
spaces
even though we can come back on. We'll come back on, see
Everyone
if
says
anybody
yes,
wants to
please
join
come
us.
back on.
All right. Give us
And they
5
want a
minutes to
story.
come
They want
back.
a story.
Yeah, we'll come back with this story. I'll get some tea.
where the laughter and the healing
Welcome to the State Fair, partner.
Howdy.
your heart stay
Howdy.
light, your troubles run short.
Oh,
Shelly, remember
TikTok.
your question.
We'll see
Yeah.
you
Let me see if I can find it before he
back
logs out.
here on the porch.
I'm going to have to shut my whole computer down. I don't even think it's going
See
to.
it, Shelly. I think it's being filtered from me. Yeah, Shelly, you might see it, but I think it's filtering from everybody else. Maybe rephrase it.
All right, everyone. We're going to log out. We'll try to come back on in just a little bit. It won't even let me log out, Allison. It won't even let me log out. I'm literally going to have to let's see if this works.
Ledger's calling it a night.